Rabbi Friedman. It's again a great honor for us to have you on the radio. It's amazing. Every time you come, you bring a ray of sunshine, you bring wisdom, enlightenment, and definitely a lot of insight into our life as it is today. So we haven't spoken in about 3 weeks. The entire holiday of Passover. Hope that was a great holiday for you. And what my thoughts after these 3 weeks is, after our last conversation, you said everything that's happening is good and it's positive, and people are finding their families and they're enjoying their lives, and they're finding the true life, the true essence of life. And that has been all 100% true. What I wanted to say, and staying home, being with the family is fantastic. Now we see the light at the end of the tunnel, and we will soon have to go back to, let's say, reality as we knew it, and reality as, I don't know what it's going to be. And I think that is going to be probably scarier than what has been happening, because what has been happening, minus, of course, the sickness and the death and the bad things that have happened. Now, in general, it was good. It was good to spend this time with the family, to find each other, to be together, to prioritize. But what is going to happen once we go out there? What should we be expecting?
Sometimes the cure is scarier than the disease. Yeah, you're right. We don't know what to expect. And I think that that's also an exciting and potentially very positive thing. The world can be so much better, we don't even know what to expect. But it's got to be better. We can't just go back, because we realize that what we had was not nearly good enough. Not nearly. We had a situation where the thought of spending a lot of time with your children was scary. And the thought of being in the house together with your spouse was horrifying. That's not a life. People who are in the social dating world realize what kind of a miserable existence that is. Who would want to go back to that? This game playing, this foolishness, this deceitfulness, emptiness. It was terrible. We thought it was a life. Now we know. We're so much better off without it. So what are we going back to? Hopefully we're not going back. We're going forward. We're going upward. We're going to find better, because we just don't like what we see. What was is not worthy. It's not worthy of going back to. It certainly doesn't justify the pain that we just went through. So for it to make any sense and for there to be any justice in the world, what is coming has to be a whole lot better than the best we had until now. It's the only way the world balances. So when you have a problem that is overwhelming, confusing, beyond imagination, then the good that comes from it also has to be overwhelmingly good and beyond imagination. We must think out of the box. So if we go back to work at our old jobs, in the old companies and offices and workplaces, it has to have a different feel. You're not there just to make money. We got to put that behind us. Living in order to make money so that you can buy the stuff you need for living. It's a vicious cycle. It's a revolving door, and you just keep turning and turning and turning and not going anywhere. Going to work has to be a moral project. We go to work so that we meet people who we can help, who we can grow with or from. It's the people, not the money, not the career, not the prestige. It's the opportunity to make the world better. When you're sitting home, you can make the world better by becoming better yourself. When an individual, when one human being becomes better, to some degree, the entire human race has become better. One person becomes worse, the entire human race goes down a step. But the more powerful effect is when you actually interact with others. That way you have two people getting better and together. And that itself is a great moral power. So now that we've seen that a virus can be a global event, having effect on people all over the world, a similar effect. It kind of unites us in a negative sense. Now we have to find a way and find those things that are as powerful that can unite us in a positive way. I'll tell the story. I was in England years ago, 40 years ago. And I was invited to speak at the BBC. They have a 5-minute message once a week. They invite different people to come and deliver that 5-minute message. So I was invited to go, so I go up there to the office, and I'm sitting in front of the microphone, and the technician, a young guy with a ponytail, is pulling plugs and connecting plugs and getting everything ready. Now this message on the BBC goes out to the whole world and in about 80 languages. So as this technician is doing his job, he's muttering to himself, or maybe he meant for me to hear it. He says, "Another bloke who thinks he can say something to 800 million people." And I realized the man is right. He does this every week. He must be listening to what people say. What can you say that is going to be relevant to 800 million people from different cultures and different religions and different backgrounds and different problems in life? What can you say that's going to be relevant to 800 million people? It was scary. But that week, the Lubavitcher Rebbe had suggested that every company, every school, every organization that has workers, on payday, whenever, the end of the week, on payday, the group, the organization, the company should give their employees an extra $1 and tell them that that $1 should go to charity and that they should add some of their own money as well. Because when you get paid and you have what to eat, you should think about somebody else who maybe doesn't. So I said that, took about 4 minutes. And it was relevant to 800 million people. The one thing that we need to introduce into the workplace, you're not just there to take care of yourself. When you have what to eat, then you can be useful to everyone around you. So having what to eat is not a privilege. It's not a compliment from God telling you, I like you, so I'm going to give you what to eat. It's more of a job and a mission. If you have what to eat and you're not distracted by the need to make a living, that means that you are now responsible for others. Make sure they have what to eat, both physically and spiritually. So if you have meaning in life, if you have something that you can teach, some wisdom that you can share, it's certainly not meant just for you. So we have to be conscious of not just how to survive, but what the purpose of life is. That's the key word. And hopefully that's what we gained during this quarantine. We can live without, surprisingly. We can live without entertainment. We can live without travel. We can live without shopping much. We can live without a job. We can do without. There are things we thought we couldn't live without. We can. So instead of being focused on how much we need in life, when we start to think, who needs me? Whom can I serve? Whom can I help? How can I make things better? Then you have a life. Now you're living. Some people can help a lot of people. Some people need to help just the other person next to them, their next door neighbor, their family member. Wouldn't that be a better world?
That would be an amazing world. But, Rabbi Friedman, what I'm noticing is that people are happy right now being at home, happy being within their confined quarters. They're comfortable right now. They're happy. And my question is, this has been about 6 weeks now that people have been quarantined within their house. They realized that they don't really need to go out into the world. The world can come right into their home. So I'm just questioning, are people maybe becoming even more self-absorbed than before and more into themselves and into their families? And will they want to go out there and do for others? I feel like that need of interaction has subsided by a lot, but maybe that's just my opinion.
Oh, it's true. It's true to some degree. It's almost like we've gone to the opposite extreme. For a long time, we've been trying to find different ways, as many ways as possible, of getting out of the house. Just get away from the family. Now, we've gone to the opposite extreme. We like being home so much, we're going to look for excuses not to go out. But we'll find the center. The pendulum will swing back to the center, and it's going to be a better world. As much as we like to stay home, something drives us, something healthy, to tackle the world, because we know we're on a mission. Taking care of your own family is life, but now you have to find the purpose of life. So we need to do more good and transform the world. It's so simple, yet it is so powerful. Imagine everybody wakes up tomorrow morning and their first thought is, who can I help? That's it. We got a perfect world. And not just think it, but actually go ahead and do it. Now, the power of positive thinking cannot be underestimated. Let's say that a positive thought is really a petty, tiny little thing. I mean, the problems in the world, the issues, the needs are cosmic. A good thought, yeah, that's nice, but it's tiny. But now we know, watch out for those tiny things. A virus is tiny, but you got to watch out for these little power sources. The smaller the thing is, we now know, the smaller the thing is, the more powerful. The atom, the subatomic particles, they're awesome. So, yes, a positive thought is a tiny little thing. But don't be surprised if that can change the world. Actually, according to Kabbalah, the physical universe is made up of three things. Einstein reduced it to two things: mass and energy. But that's not the whole world. The world we know is made up of three things: mass, energy, and consciousness. The presence of a human being, the conscious human being, is the third ingredient that makes mass what it is and energy what it is. It's an ingredient. People think that nature, the world, is made up of mass and energy. Then human beings come along and just pollute. We're the garbage of the world. And without the human being, nature and the universe would be perfect. No, nature and the universe would not be what it is without the presence of a soul, of a conscious mind. And the scientists are now theorizing about this, that the nature of light, the behavior of light, which is so fundamental to the universe, is different when there's a mind present, when someone is watching. Sometimes the light acts like a wave and sometimes like particles. What makes the difference? Somebody's watching. If you add the third ingredient, then the world is what it is. Take out that third ingredient and the world collapses. Like a universe without energy. Wouldn't work. A universe without mass would be heaven, not earth. A universe without consciousness would not be a functional universe. I think that's what the Torah is telling us when it describes creation and lets us know that the way light came into existence is because God said, "Let there be light." Why do we need to know this? We can't duplicate that. We can't say, "Let there be," and then there is. Or at least that's the way it seems. God is telling us, the world was created by my words. Words have an effect. Be careful what you say. You may not be able to create stuff out of nothing, but you certainly can affect stuff by your words. Because this is a universe that responds to words. So it's literally true. If you say positive things, you change the physical reality around you. If you say negative things, not so good. So this is the challenge. The conditions, the problems, the confusion makes it very tempting to say some negative things. But virus particularly, virus is a negative thing. It's a zero, it's a negative. It doesn't have life. It depends on a host to give it life. It's a parasite. So it's basically a negative, an absence of light, an absence of life. When we say negative things, when we get discouraged, or certainly defeated, overwhelmed with panic, with fear, we are attributing a lot of power to the negative. You're afraid of a virus? A virus is nothing. Literally, it is a nothing. So how does it attack you? It finds within the victim a little place of nothing that allows it in because, they're similar. And then it finds where your life is, your lungs, for example, in this case. But what if there's no negative in you? There's no empty space. Then the virus can't attach itself. So what we need to do is fill every little spot in our brain, in our thinking, in our feelings, fill it with life. When the virus can't find an empty space, can't find a lifeless little entry, then we're invulnerable.
Rabbi Friedman, but all of this was also true before the virus. And we should have lived that way before, but we didn't. You're so positive that we will after. Any special insights?
Just a little bit of an amendment. The evil in the world has not died. There's still a lot of evil. But in order for the evil to die, as we were saying just now, if you cut off the supply to evil, it has no life of its own, and it naturally dies. I don't know if you can even call it dying because it was never a living thing. It was just borrowing life. So if you cut off the supply, there's nothing left to the evil. One of the ways that you cut off the supply is by exposing it. No lie can be successful without a little bit of truth. If you want people to believe your lie, you have to throw in a little truth. But if you take that little bit of truth away from the lie, there's nothing left. It dries up and falls away. For all of history, since the eating of the tree of knowledge, every evil has a little bit of good, and every good has a little bit of evil. And that's what makes it so difficult to walk a straight line of just good and no bad, because within the good there's some bad. So for example, a person who is determined to be really, really good and do everything right and moral and honest and decent and noble, sounds all good. But what happens is this person develops a superiority complex, knowing that he is very good, and he is very good, and being very good brings in arrogance and selfishness and looking down at others, taking advantage of others. There's always a negative side to every good. So how do you avoid it? It's like trying to be humble. Being humble is very good. So I try to be humble. And the more humble I become, the more successful I am in the project, the more arrogant I become about my humility. So you can't win. So it's like the husband who says to the wife, and I've heard this many times in marriage counseling, how dare you complain about me? I've been so good to you. What a chont. He's been good, and therefore he's too arrogant to accept any criticism, and he blames her. And it's just, this has been the problem since the eating of the tree.
I have to know, what do you tell them at this point? What do you tell the couple?
I laugh. I said, aren't people funny? Because you have to have a little sense of humor in a marriage and about yourself. So what is going to happen, and it's already happening, but what you're going to see a lot of is the exposure. All negative, ugly, selfish, bad things that have been hiding behind fancy words, good excuses, political institutions, even bad philosophies, it's all going to be exposed. The bad is just going to look really bad. And the good is going to look purely good. So this is what's going to happen now. The exposure, the separation, undoing the damage of the tree of knowledge. Good is going to be good, bad is going to be bad, and we're not going to confuse them anymore. When that happens, the bad is finished because it has no leg to stand on. If it can't hide behind good, if it can't draw its life from goodness, it has no life at all. So there are going to be some pretty bad things. The good news is it will look so bad that it doesn't have a life. Once exposed, it's gone.
I think in politics, we've been seeing it for a while now.
Amazing.
But it's been confusing anyway.
Because of the fake news, because you don't know who to believe. But that will clear up too. Everything will become clear. That's how the world prepares for Mashiach. When things become clear, when we can see clearly, we will do the right thing. That's the good news and the bad news all in one. The bad news is that the bad is going to look really bad. And it's going to come from surprising places. Again, stand by for surprise. And good is going to come from surprising places.
Wow. But speaking of Mashiach, I think the whole world was so prepared for something to happen right on Passover. I mean, honestly, I've been setting an extra plate every single Seder, just in case. And it seems a little bit not disappointing because it's oh, yeah, disappointing?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay, I wasn't going to say that. Yeah, I'm kind of disappointed. I was hoping to see Mashiach over Passover. And what do you think about that? What do you say? When? Does anybody know when?
No, we don't know when. In one sense. In another sense, we do know when. Now. Mashiach is happening. The question is, when will it get done? When will it conclude? But it is happening now. Mashiach is the result of all of our efforts. It's not a one-man show. I mean, he's the man, but it's not a one-man show. So everything we do, every decision we make, every thought, every word we speak is bringing Mashiach. So it's happening, not it's going to happen. It's going to conclude. It's going to succeed, but it's happening now. So obviously there's still something we can do. There's more that we need to put into the soup. And then Mashiach can come and complete it, perfect it. Let me give an example of what do we mean when we say Mashiach? The world will become perfect. Everyone will be good. That sounds very unrealistic. So let's break it down. We've had time by ourselves, and when that happens and you're kind of alone, the first thing that you gain is that you get to know yourself. There are no distractions. It's almost like being surrounded by mirrors. You get to know yourself. All the distractions of life prevent you from seeing yourself as you are. So now that we've seen ourselves, there are things about ourselves, there are things about me I really don't like. I wasn't really aware that it was there, but now I see it and I don't like it. There are also some things that I'm really happy about, which I didn't notice before. So it's not all bad news. But here's the definition of a messed up world. There are things I know I should do. There are characteristics I know I should have. And I want it. For a long time, I've wanted it. And it didn't happen. I think we're all in that boat. Our ideals, the picture that we have for ourselves, what we want to be and know it, isn't. I'm not what I want to be. I'm not where I want to be. I'm talking in morality, not in material goods. The question is, if I know what should be and I want it to be, how come it doesn't just happen? What's stopping it? So you can say, well, you also, you want to be productive, but you also want to be lazy. It doesn't explain it. I don't want to be lazy. I'm going to sit down and say, I really should be lazy. No, it just ends up that way. But what I want is good. In other words, why are we not as good as we know we should be and as good as we want to be? That's a messed up world. That's golus. That's exile. The Jewish people belong in the land of Israel. But we're not in the land of Israel for like 2,000 years. What is wrong with this world? Why aren't things the way they should be? Not some abstract heavenly concept of what should be. The should be that we know and want.
Why?
That's messed up. That's almost miraculous. When Mashiach comes, what's going to happen? I will be what I want to be. I will be what I know I should. Why not? Why not? So when I am what I want to be, you're going to call that a miracle? No. The miracle is that for so long, for so many years, what I want to be just doesn't happen.
So how can we help things along?
See, that's where the clarification process, the sorting out, the exposure. When things become less confusing, we will see our way clearly, and then nothing's going to stop us. Because we have the right ideas and we have the goodwill. Not everybody. But those who don't have the goodwill are going to be exposed too. And once exposed, it's finished. They can't do it. Can't be that way. So it's going to be a little scary to see all the bad come to the surface. But it's a healing process. It's a healing crisis. But you're also going to see all the good coming to the surface. So don't believe just the bad news. Keep a balanced picture. A lot of good is going to come from some surprising places. And a lot of ugliness is going to be, what is the word?
Resurfacing?
Vomited out. Yeah.
And it's coming like right now?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. God give us strength to handle it.
So when you see it, don't get frightened by it. You should think, oh, good. That's like lancing a boil and letting out the pus. It's all coming out. And the more it comes out and the faster it comes out, the healthier it is.
I'm sorry, I know I shouldn't do this, but I will anyway. In one of your lectures about 3 weeks ago, you said that Mashiach is like right now, that we don't have to wait a year to see him. Is this bad coming out a lengthy process, or is it something that is not going to take too long?
It won't take long because of the internet. When something is exposed in the world today, the exposure is total, global, instantaneous. In the olden days, it would take a long, long time. You expose the corruption of a czar. Who's going to know? Exposed to whom? To the people in the capital city. Beyond that, there's very little communication. Outside of Russia, no communication. It's a sealed world. So how long will it take for the corruption of the Tsar to reach South Africa? Forever. But today, instantly. The internet has been a blessing. Everybody condemned it as, ooh, the internet is disgusting, it's horrible, it's going to corrupt the world and destroy everything. Yeah, it has its ugliness, but it is a very, very important tool. Well, I mean,
this is it. It's happening right now.
Happening right now.
It's amazing. Rabbi Friedman, thank you so much. What you said is, of course, slightly scary, but with a lot of positivity, as we always get from you. This insight is amazing and important, and we're very, very grateful for your time, your wisdom, your knowledge, and every time you come on the radio, we're very, very grateful to you. I am personally, always.
A long time ago, the Rebbe remarked that when we study Torah on the radio, we're sending holiness through the airwaves. Now, airwaves is a certain frequency, a certain layer of the universe that is like an onion with layer after layer. When the first Torah class, there was a Rabbi Teitz from New Jersey who offered a Talmud class every Saturday night on WEVD. It was the Yiddish station. And that was the first time that the layer, the level of atmosphere in which sound travels, this was the first time that it experienced holiness. So we're supposed to bring holiness to the world. We usually think of it as geographic locations. Bring holiness to this continent and to that continent, to this country, to this city, to this town. But there are also layers of existence that need holiness introduced. So radio waves brings holiness to a place that we haven't been able to reach in earlier years. The internet is another layer. This is not sound wave, this is microwave. When we introduce holiness, holy conversation, holy words, words of goodness, to the atmospheric level of microwave, we're introducing holiness to a place that we never even knew about. And now we're making it holy too. So once these layers of existence become holy, we know we are much closer to Mashiach. So keep up the good work.
Thank you. With your help only. This is amazing. I mean, this is a whole new perspective on what we're doing, and I thank you for it. I thank you for all the insights you gave us today, and we so look forward to having you on again. Thank you, Rabbi Friedman. And for those out there, I strongly recommend it's goodtoknow.org and Rabbi Friedman's YouTube channel. I use it daily, and it's a blessing. Thank you so much.
Thanks for the opportunity.